I've been pretty keen on Bath's music ever since I listened to Cerulean, a collection of really colourful and effervescent, fizzy bubble lemonade sort of beats with kind of a glitch hop veneer, but also some falsetto vocals over the top that actually kind of sounded quite nice. It's very colourful, vibrant, kind of happy music, and then he kind of contrasted this with his next album, Obsidian, an album that was much darker and nocturnal, despaired. It is probably my favourite of Bath's albums, but it is extremely good. I would highly recommend you check out those two albums if you're interested in Bath's incredible production. He is very good at kind of putting together instrumentals in a way that will kind of evoke a lot of human emotion, whether it be despair, whether it be happiness, ecstasy, romantic warmth. And considering romantic warmth, we have this album here, Romaplasm, which I think is probably Bath's most affectionate album yet. It does have its moments where it settles and becomes a little more, not necessarily melancholic, but just a little more worried. But like overall, the sound of this album really sounds like you've been dragged into this fantasy garden world where the sky is so bright and plant life is just, you know, Gusty Garden Galaxy from Super Mario Galaxy? I imagine it like that. That is kind of the world I imagine I've been dragged into, and it is really magical, and I could not escape this for the entirety of the album, so I have to really compliment Romaplasm on doing that. The production, or the instrumentals rather, may seem rather scatterbrained, especially with some of that percussion and some of the synth work that's really bubbling and fizzing all around, especially if you listen to a track like Atom Copies, or perhaps Superstructure. Things just seem so overwhelmingly packed in, you're hearing so many sounds just hammered into you. But I never found it overwhelming to like a sickening extent where you're just kind of, oh, that's a bit too much for me. I actually really liked hearing all these sounds kind of fit into a rhythm or a beat or a musical passage where it all sounded cohesive. It's hard for me to put into words explicitly, but for example, listen to a track like Yeoman where all this combinations of sounds kind of piece together to create something that does evoke in me a lot of happiness, especially if you combine that with the lyrics. And I must appreciate the fact that Bath has channeled a lot of focus into delivering some very detailed and imaginative lyrics. The very first track, Yeoman, kind of focuses on this fantasy land, this like literally a floating ship in the air where you're just kind of adventuring out. I must also shout out the track Atom Copies, which is one big reference to Neon Genesis Evangelion, but aside from being the reference to that show, it does also bring about this sense of emotional, I was going to say travesty, but that's a bit too strong. I would say kind of where you feel your happiness is at stake, and this album is kind of a fight to kind of keep those emotions alive. And yet you still have tracks like Human Bog, which I have to say is probably my favorite on here, where Bath settles the mood down a lot more, and not only delivers an instrumental where the sounds almost feel like you can reach out and kind of touch them, they almost feel so tangible, but also the lyrics delve into identity, especially for queer youth who feel like they have to compromise themselves or kind of mask their own identity in order to fit in. They don't feel like they can really be open about themselves, hence the lyric, I'm queer in a way that works for you. And I think this song really enhances that with such a moody yet somewhat like beautiful instrumental. The strings, but also those like low pitched synths that kind of drone in the background. Yeah, this album was really effervescent, but also like for an album that's trying to be really affectionate and warm and loving, it is also really mature and detailed. This album was very enjoyable, and it is very good. It is very good. I'm gonna give this album a 7 out of 10.